So to develop your paper, you will once again need the safe lights on. And so you will come into the lab and take your paper out. I just reach way to the bottom and kind of dig under the back of the paper with my fingernails and then just sort of lift it out like that. Make sure you take the tape off, stick it back on the pinhole camera for use again. And now you're just going to bring this over and drop it into the tray. And I honestly don't think it's going to hurt too much for me to actually do that with this faux photo paper. So we're going to do it. Who cares? All right. So this is my photo paper, right? I don't really want to start getting my hands in all this chemicals if I don't need to. So just drop it in, use the tongs, and gently poke it down into the chemicals. Then you're going to do what we call agitating, which means just lightly rocking the tray. Hopefully you can see, I mean, there's a little bit of a flow to the chemistry right now, but I'm not splashing it out or anything. I don't even need my hand to be on it the whole time. I can just sort of keep an eye, and when the chemicals hold still, I can give it a little tip again. So that's agitation. And the reason for agitation is that it brings fresh chemistry in contact with the paper surface and creates a more even development than if we were to just let it sit there. If we let it sit there, the chemicals that are tied up against the silver would start to exhaust and not be doing their job anymore. And so it would start to maybe get a little bit blotchy, a little bit uneven. So we're going to keep track of the time by either looking at the wall clock up above, or if you would like, we talked about this during the break, but I'll show you here. This timer, yeah, make sure I'm moving in it. Yep. It does have an on and off switch. So if you come in and you turn it and it's not turning, or time and focus, either of these toggle switches up top might, baffle you. But basically, there's a clicky minute hand and then a sweep second hand, and it goes backwards, and it's a countdown sort of thing. So you turn it in the direction of set, and I just spin it around to like 55 minutes or something like that, and that activates this guy to start turning. And so then when I put my paper in any of those trays, I just sort of look at, see where it was at. Okay, well, when it passes the 10 again, I know it's time to take my paper out. Let's see if I can get this paper out, even though it's not real darkroom paper. Your darkroom paper is going to be thick. RC paper is actually plastic. It's a polyester type paper, so it's going to hold up really well and not be anywhere near this fragile in the chemistry. We're going to pick it up with the tongs and let it drip. Once it's done dripping, we'll move it over to the stop bath. And here's the thing. We want to drop it in. We don't want to push it in with these tongs, because we want to keep these tongs where all that's touched them ever is developer. So then, now that it's in the stop bath, I'll switch to using the stop bath tongs when it's time to take it out of there. Same thing in the stop bath, I'm going to agitate. Ideally, it's going to be in here for 1 minute also. I'm going to fudge it, because it's not actually real paper. After 1 minute, same thing, pick it up, and then we're going to move it to fixer A. Boop. Drop it in fixer A, and sort of push it down in to make sure that it's submerged, and it gets a minute in here as well. After fixer A, your paper is fixed enough that it's safe for you to take it out and look at it. Remember that when you're really working in here, it's going to be super dark. So even if it gets pretty dark in the developer and you're looking at it like, oh man, I messed that up, I just, you might want to see it through into at least fixer A and inspect it in normal light before you just throw it out and start over. Because if it's totally black, with no detail at all, that might mean there's a light leak in your camera. If it's super dark and hard to see, but you can see that there wanted to be a little detail there, then you won't see that unless you turn on the lights. So wait, turn on the lights, look at that. All right, so I'm going to take this out. If I want to inspect it out in the lights, what I'm going to do is take it to Mr. Holding Bath. And so the holding bath is the place where if you get any chemistry on your hands, or like your hands are wet and you don't know why, just assume that you got a little chemicals on them. Dunk your hands in there and then use your towel to dry them off. That's why your towel is so important, because obviously you want to be able to dry your hands thoroughly before you go work with other electrical equipment. But you probably will get chemicals on your hands a fair bit in here, and so the habit is just to, when that happens, just dunk them in the wash, dry them off, and on you go. The chemicals are not super irritating for most people. Like in 22 years of teaching photography, I've had 2 people say they had a little bit of irritation, and they were people who had kind of skin allergy prone to begin with. So you probably won't have any problems, but there's no reason to go sticking your hands in it if you don't have to. So to take it out to inspect, I've got all these little trays sitting here, these little 8x10 trays. You're going to just put your rinsed sheet of paper in there, and then, oh, here we go. We're going on a tour, right? Here's the little photo papers tour. We're going to go out the dark room. So this is getting hard to hang on to, though, I got to say. Go out through the door. In here. Look how cleverly I removed the filter so that you would say, oh yeah, she's in white light now. So out here in the main lab, you can take a look at your print and decide if it's, how well it's going and stuff like that. So you could just set it in the sink out here to look at if you want. Try not to drip all over the place, but we do have these mats on the floor for that purpose. So especially with the social distancing thing, as you come out to work, if you're sharing that lab with 2 other people, just sort of step off to this side. We've got this film processing area over here behind me, you can see. And that, the darkroom door is way over here. So that gives you time, and yet they can come out without being all jammed up in your grids, right? So that's that. And, once you were done, let's say this was a fabulous, wonderful print and you definitely want to keep it, then we'd go back in and we'd put it back into Fixer B, because we are only halfway through the fixing process. We were just in a state where it was like, we'd gotten enough exposure to the Fixer to make our stuff mostly light proof, enough for short exposure to light. So now I would come back in here, take my print out, into Fixer B it goes. I tend to just rinse these trays all the time. Dunk it in the holding bath, and tip it face down to drain. That way, they go through kind of a continuous cycle of being used by your classmates and stuff. So this would go into Fixer B for a minute, right? Then taken out, put into the holding bath, prongs go back. And, like I said, I think I'm going to do the how to wash as a separate video, because I'm seeing it's like getting toward the end of class time really fast here. So for today, that's going to be it. I'll talk to you on Monday about how we're going to wash the little pieces of paper thoroughly and finish them out and squeegee them and stuff. So I'm going to stop the, oh, one more thing before I stop the recording. When you're done working, you pick up the tongs, super easy, give them a bath. These chemicals come off really easily. They're very water soluble. So that literally is all you have to do to clean the tongs. Then Stop Bath and Developer will be good for the rest of the day. So I have these handy plexiglass covers that don't show well in a video, but you can put that down over the tray. That'll prevent oxidation. Same with Stop Bath. And then also it's kind of cool because that way now they're labeled, right? For the next person who's new and is like, oh, where's everything? So when you leave, you would want to make sure that any paper you were working with has been removed from the holding bath. Like I said, on Monday, I'll talk to you about doing that. And you turn the holding bath off so it's not just running. No battery sign. And then you turn off the fans and the safe light. So it should be quiet in here. And it should be dark in here when you leave. So just turn out all the lights. Okay?